Hello, fans, fellow Americans. You're back in the zone with the Zonan. Speaking of in the zone, I'm ready for the end zone. Are you ready for some football? I am. But before we get to that, you smell this? It's the sweet. I got a victory cigar. It's the sweet smell of victory. Yes, I've been smelling the sweet smell of victory ever since Rick Perry threw his cowboy hat into the ring and is in the race for president of the United States of America. We've got a real man running now. Not a bunch of milquetoast people. If you want milquetoast and people ain't got no balls, vote for Mitt Romney, would you? But if you want a real man, a man who steps up and stands up for his fellow Americans, who isn't afraid to talk boldly, vote for Rick Perry, the governor of the great state of Texas. Matter of fact, he's the longest standing governor in the United States of America. He's been the governor of the great state of Texas for over 10 straight years now. As a matter of fact, the reason I like him, job creation, he's wholeheartedly against illegal immigration, and number 3, he's pro-life. And of course, he's not afraid to speak his mind, like yours truly. Yet, he jumped into the race earlier this week and immediately went to the top of the polls. 29% for Rick Perry, only 18% for Mitt Romney, 16% undecided, 13% Michelle Bachmann, and down from there. I would like to think that Rick Perry's success comes from when the great and all-powerful, all-knowing Zonan threw his substantial weight behind Rick Perry a couple of months ago. I'm sure all my fans and friends remember those apples. Alright, so now, last year, of the 42% of the jobs created in the United States of America were created within the borders of Rick Perry's great state of Texas. Why? Because he's a job creator. That's why 42% of jobs in the United States were created within the state of Texas last year. Rick Perry. So if you want job creation, you have to vote for Rick Perry. If you want to shut down illegal immigration, you have to vote for Rick Perry. You don't hear Mitt Romney, Ron Paul, etc., all the other milquetoast candidates even bringing up illegal immigration because they think that might be offensive to the sensibilities of people. Rick Perry boldly speaks, and I'm very proud because he's got integrity. Make no mistake about it, there's no integrity in the likes of Ron Paul and Mitt Romney. If you want a man with integrity who says what he means and means what he says, you have to vote for Rick Perry. He's the only candidate out there that does that and who's knowledgeable and has a long history of success. He's also unabashedly pro-life and makes that point abundantly clear. Earlier this week, I had a bunch of people talking about, criticizing from the left and from the right, I might add, criticizing Rick Perry. Why? Because they see him as a very real threat. The Republican establishment, featuring Carl Sellout Rove, have relentlessly attacked Rick Perry all week long. Because they know he's a real threat to the Republican establishment savior, Mitt Romney. So they say, oh, he shouldn't use the word treason. Oh, he shouldn't be talking so boldly. Oh, he's offending certain people. So what? That's what we need. We need somebody who's going to get and tell the truth, even if it happens to be offensive or offends the sensibilities of some spineless rats out there. We need somebody who's got some balls, bottom line. And Rick Perry is the man. Let me tell you, he's just like the Zonan. There's a few years back, the great and all-powerful Zonan was a probation officer. He worked for in a department wherein the judge, the boss, was a Democrat and a huge fan of Bill Clinton back in the 90s. Well, the great and all-powerful Zonan were fed up with partial birth abortion, and I knew for a fact that Bill Clinton had vetoed the bill to outlaw the partial birth abortion 3 times, not once, not twice, but 3 fargan times. So what did the Zonan do? He stood on the street corner holding up a sign saying, "Impeach Clinton for murder. Partial birth abortion is murder." I was advised by my fellow employees not to do such a thing because it would be career suicide, since the judge was Democrat and a big fan of Bill Clinton. I said, I'm doing it on my days off. He can't stop me. Let me tell you, I'd rather offend man than God. I don't know about you, but all Christians should feel that way. Unfortunately, not all Christians feel that way because they're not staunch and they're not faithful like I am. Not to be a braggart, but that when it comes to putting you, laying it down on the line and take a stand for the Lord, a lot of people flat refuse to do it because they don't put the Lord first; they put man first. Not me, buddy. So I'm like that. So that's why I like Rick Perry, because he's like that. And you know what? If you don't like Rick Perry, you don't like me, feel free not to tune in. Feel free not to vote for Rick Perry. But let me tell you, as for me and my friends, I'm voting for Rick Perry. Now, I got to talk about a couple of things. The antithesis of Rick Perry, the O'Dummer President O'Dummer and his administration. On the front page of the Tucson paper today, I read the following. U.S. eases its deportation policy. I guess since Barack Hussein O'Dummer can't get amnesty through, he's just going to do it by just refusing to enforce the law on the books. He's no longer going to deport people, illegal immigrants, unless they have been convicted of violent felonies within the United States of America. In other words, he's granting all illegal immigrants amnesty by just refusing to deport any of them unless they're convicted violent felons. That's utterly outrageous and a violation of the U.S. Constitution. In the Zonan's book, that authorizes a secession from the Union. Any state now is free to secede from the Union based on the president refusing to uphold and abide by his duties as detailed in the U.S. Constitution. Well, anyway, so I noticed the governor of the great state of Arizona had her say, she basically said the following, and I quote, excuse me for a second. Here we go, page 4A. Governor Jan Brewer. The Obama administration cannot get its amnesty schemes through Congress, so now it has resorted to implementing its plans via executive fiat. There's simply no other description for Thursday's announcement that the federal government will not pursue the deportation of individuals who are in the country illegally but meet certain criteria. Arizona's Republican governor said in a written statement continuing, "This plan amounts to backdoor amnesty for hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of illegal aliens. With this announcement, the president is encouraging more illegal immigration at the exact moment we need federal focus on border security." Governor Jan Brewer of Arizona is dead bang right. And anybody who disagrees with her is an utter moron. I'm just being nice by saying that, by the way, because I could say a lot worse things. All right. And another thing, I read the paper just today. It says here, Iraqi immigrants arrested on drug and weapons charges. I quote, federal officials said Thursday that they've busted a drug trafficking ring involving Mexico's most powerful drug cartels members and members of an Iraqi immigrant community in the United States who were caught selling illegal drugs, assault rifles, grenades, and homemade explosives. About 60 people from the Iraqi community were arrested after a 6-month investigation carried out by the Drug Enforcement Administration and police in the city of El Cajon, a working-class city east of San Diego. Just as the great and all-powerful Zonan predicted and said earlier and asserted in a couple months ago in our videos, the Mexican drug cartels are working with known immigrants from terrorist countries like Iraq. So you've got Iraq, Hezbollah, etc., working with all the Mexican drug cartels to sneak drugs, assault rifles, hand grenades and explosives to the United States of America. What do you hear from O'Dummer and his White House? You got it, nothing but crickets. Well, anyway, always depend on the Zonan to keep all his friends and fans and family informed. Nobody informs you with the truth like the Zonan. And rest assured, I'll continue to do so. Now let's get something that puts me in a better mood. Football. And the Zonan's all-powerful, all-knowing, expert predictions. Let's start with the National Football League. Here you go. Let's start with the NFC West, where our awesome Arizona Cardinals reside. Who's going to win the NFC West? Arizona, of course, with Kevin Kolb at the helm. The NFC South, the New Orleans Saints. They've got Drew Brees and company all lathered up, and now they just drafted Mark Ingram out of Alabama. NFC North, the Green Bay Packers. The NFC East, the Philadelphia Eagles, if Michael Vick can stay healthy. And that's up for debate. And the wild cards will go to the Atlanta Falcons and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The NFC champions, the New Orleans Saints. I predict they'll win the NFC title this year. Let's move on to the AFC. The AFC West, I'm going to go with the San Diego Chargers. The AFC South, the Indianapolis Colts. AFC North, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Why? Because Ben Roethlisberger is better than Joe Flacco of the Ravens. The AFC East, I got to go with the New England Patriots. Forgive me, but I like Tom Brady better than Mark Sanchez. The wild card teams, the Jets and the Ravens. New York Jets and the Baltimore Ravens. The AFC champions, the New England Patriots. The Super Bowl, you got the Patriots versus the Saints. I've got the Patriots beating the New Orleans Saints in the Super Bowl. Let's move to college football, because I like to keep you informed on all levels of college football. The Pac-12. I got Stanford winning the Pac-12 because Stanford has Oregon at home this year. Oregon's got to play Stanford at Stanford, so I got Stanford as the Pac-12 champions. The Big 12, I got Oklahoma. They're a juggernaut. The former Big 10, I don't know what they call them anymore, but I got Nebraska winning the former Big 10. The Big East could be West Virginia or USF. I'm going with the South Florida Bulls because I went to college there and got my criminology degree from there. SEC, Alabama. ACC, Florida State. Florida State Seminoles have a great ball club this year. National title, Homa versus Bama. For the less intelligent, that's Oklahoma versus Alabama. And the national champion will be the Oklahoma Sooners. I think they're just too much for anybody and everybody this year. Well, when it comes to football, politics, etc., remember, always stay in the zone with the Zonan. Till next time, adios amigos from the Arizona Desert.